Gina Carano, ladies and gentlemen, JAMESLANE here, 68th episode of the American Reveille Podcast. That's right, folks, we're not using the first proper word in sentences today. No, that's not why we're here. We're here to basically shove something up the left's ass. What am I talking about? I am going to talk about Gina Carano, but not in the way that everybody else is, all right? If you haven't heard about her, she's the star from The Mandalorian. It was a spin-off Star Wars series on Disney+. By the way, screw Disney+. Yeah, they want to call her a racist. They want to say she used anti-Semite comments, but we know she didn't. So what are we going to do? We're going to celebrate Gina Carano by giving out a little history lesson. That's right, folks. I'm going to talk about what happened to her briefly. All right. Boxer briefly, and then we're going to go right into a little history. That's right. I'm going to read to you from reliable sources, and I'll let you know what they are. The real truth about what was happening to Jews in Germany before and through the Holocaust. That's right. Welcome back to grade school, ladies and gentlemen, at least those that were born before 1985. Stay tuned. Hi, my name's JAMESLANE. Do you suffer from erectile dysfunction caused by listening to left-wing ideologies? Well, we have a solution for you. Walk off a cliff. No, I'm just kidding. How you doing? What's up? Ladies and gentlemen, I feel like I haven't heard from you in ages. It's like a day. Give me a break. I'm working on a bunch of stuff for the American Reveille, folks. Did you know, like, after this, I'm going to actually be building other social media profiles. I mean, there's all kinds of things that I have to do behind the scenes. I'm working on it. Guys. We will be okay. And you know how I know we'll be okay? I know we'll be okay because, little known fact about me, I'm Jewish, which means this venture is going to succeed no matter what. Oh, you didn't like hearing that? Well, I'm sorry. I had to say it. I had to be a little risque, and I'm doing it for a reason. And I think, my friends, you're going to appreciate exactly why I did it. And here is why. I did it because I am going to be commenting on Miss Gina Carano, as the Hodge twins said, Miss Thick Gina Carano. Yeah, that's what they said about her. Not me. I'm happily married. You see that right there? I'm going to say this so that my wife does not stab me 26 times in the throat in my sleep for talking about another woman, which I was not. I was just talking about what the Hodge twins said about her in the first place. So don't blame me. Don't look at me. Just no. All right. No. But for the left, I hope you see this. I hope this pisses you off. I hope you come after me. Bring it. Any heat is good heat, ladies and gentlemen. So for all you lefties out there that are going to hate hearing this little history lesson, I'm going to do this. I'm going to read this. I'm going to go through her story for a second here, point out the hypocrisy between her and the other lead actor, and we're going to go right into Jews in pre-war Germany, Jewish life in Europe, anti-Semitism, the boycott of Jewish stores and shops, some Nuremberg stuff, Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, the thing that Arnold Schwarzenegger says he knows so much about. Kiss my ass. I'm so tired of us on the right. Even Tulsi Gabbard today coming out. Oh, we have to accept that Trump is a bad blah, 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 blah. Shut the F up, Tulsi. Shut up, Tulsi. I'm not listening to you anymore. We're done. We're done with you, Tulsi. Plain and simple. You guys cancel people. Don't you see that? The left makes people disappear. They make you digitally disappear. They make people physically disappear. Folks, wake the hell up and smell the non-black rifle coffee, because screw them, because they don't give a shit about Kyle Rittenhouse. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in interesting times. and we are surrounded by snakes, liars, and cheats. All right? I believe that knowledge is power. But if you can't sit through it, if you can't hear it, if it's too much for you, then how are you going to spread the word? How are you going to make a difference? Have you looked in the mirror today, friends? Have you looked in the mirror and said, what have I done for my country today? What have I done to preserve the unity in this country? Well, if you're not Joe Biden, you've already done more than Joe Biden. We can tell you that. But there's always something you can do. All right. And it's as little as taking a look at something like this video here, something like this recording here, this audio broadcast, this podcast, episode 68, guys, and sharing it with people, sending it to people, send it to lefties you hate. I want them to see it. So they can all kiss my ass. They can all kiss your ass. They can all go screw themselves, because I don't know if you've noticed, while they're taking over the entire freaking government and country, we're sitting around bickering about what the definitions mean and what means what and who means this and what pronouns and that and that. Can't you see through that crap, that sneak attack? Don't be blind. Don't be blind. Her pronouns are what? Beep, boop, bork. My pronouns are go fuck yourself. That's what I have to say. I know I'm a little more vicious today. Sorry. But this stuff there, I corrected one of them. All right. That's $1 out of the swear jar. This stuff pisses me off, and it should piss you off. This woman did nothing wrong. What's the solution? She said there's a solution to problems with voter fraud. Get voter ID. That's not radical. That's a normal conservative thought. But what they want to do, they want to take these normal conservative thoughts and keep saying they're in the realm of radicalism and extremism again and again and again until it comes true. Ladies and gentlemen, go read 1984 for the love of Pete. That's how it's done. You say it again, and it becomes true. Listen, guys, have you ever been the asshole boyfriend? Girls, you ever have the asshole boyfriend? You ever have the guy that's cheating on you again and again and again? And he says, no, maybe you were younger at the time, because listen, I'm older now. I don't put up with crap like that. And I'm sure most of you don't if you're single. I'm not single anymore, but once upon a time I was. And maybe once or twice I've been the bad guy and learned some hard lessons. And maybe once or twice I've been the victim and learned some hard lessons. Either way, people, abusive people that don't grow out of it, that don't grow up, they gaslight people. They say things over and over and over and over until you question your sanity and you believe that it's you. You believe that their truth is the real truth and there's nothing else. Don't let them say it again and again and again without any resistance. Because if we just let them say it again and again and there's no counter arguments, which is why they're censoring us in the first place, then their truth will become the entire truth. All right. And by the way, the real victims of this censorship, all right, look, God bless Gina Carano, okay? God bless Gina Carano. Very talented, very beautiful, very, very bright future. Also lucrative. She made a lot of good money. She's doing all right. I don't want to compare apples and oranges, but there are victims in this censorship war that are unheard victims, all right? Look at the American Reveille. Look at our company. Our numbers are down tremendously. People are asking me all the time, where did our show go? Why did you leave? We didn't leave. We're shadow banned everywhere. We can't get through that. We have solutions, but those solutions are taking a couple weeks to get done, and they will get done. But understand, she'll be all right for a few months. She'll figure it out. She's already connected, but there's a lot of people that aren't connected. Those are the people, the middle class, the lower class, the folks with no money, the folks that put everything and risked everything on a dare, on a bet, on a dream, the American dream. Those people are being strangled to death by the left and big tech. Those are the real unseen victims. So with that being said, I'm going to send a big middle finger F you to the left. I'm going to read about Gina. This probably will get shadow banned to hell, but screw it. It'll be on so many platforms. People will see it. It'll eventually become something. So mark my words, this episode, this history lesson, this is one that will be seen eventually many, many times. It's important. You will learn the comparisons between what's happening to the right and what happened to the Jews, 1920s, 1910s, 1930s. It goes a little bit deep. So get ready. Let's start Gateway Pundit. Just one article from the Gateway Pundit. I'm telling you, everything else is from the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum website, okay? Real source, folks. So let's go. And I'm not saying Gateway's not a real source. What I'm getting at is a historical reference, a real historical reference. I wouldn't go to Gateway Pundit to read a biography on Abraham Lincoln, but I'd go to Abraham Lincoln's website, the Museum of Abraham Lincoln, whatever, I'm making that up, to read about Abraham Lincoln. All right. But we're not going to read about Abraham Lincoln, and we're not going to read about anybody else other than two Mandalorian actors who had posted Nazi analogies to social media. But Lucasfilms and Disney, they only seem to want to fire one of them, the conservative one, Gina Carano. Gina Carano, ladies and gentlemen, Gina Carano. The Mandalorian actress Gina Carano was fired by Lucasfilm this week for posting a Nazi analogy to her social media page. By the way, lefties, if you're listening, and for all my right-wing folks that may not know, a Nazi stood for National Socialist Party. And you can't be a nationalist and a freaking socialist. You can't be a nationalist and hate your country. All right. So don't for 1 second fall for their BS definitions. Quote, she wrote this on her social media page. Quote, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. How many of you guys live in a neighborhood and feel intimidated because all of your neighbors have BLM flags up? And because they're actively looking for people like they're being told to do, thinking that people are racist. You know, being worried about that doesn't make you a racist. It makes you scared of being accused of something because of the color of your skin. That is the true definition of racism. Your equity BS, lefties, your equity talk, equity. If you don't believe in equity, that's the real race. Screw equity. Shove equity up your ass. All right. People don't have fair starts. I didn't come from a fair start. Many people didn't come from a fair start. Do we need to reform things along the way to give certain people fair shakes in certain industries and areas? Sure. But saying that we need to start in the same place and end up in the same place, you can kiss our ass. Oh, yes, you can kiss our ass. Plain and simple. We love all people. But everybody has the same right in this country to follow their dreams in the same way. Everybody has to struggle for the fruit to ripen. Everybody has to struggle for their success to be sweet and victory to be pure. When you give away the prize, when you give away the trophy, when you hand people things, they become complacent, impotent, thoughtless servants. They become slaves. They become intellectual nothings. They become melted chocolate on a hot sidewalk in Dade County, Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, plain and simple. You got to make people work for it. All right. Has shit always been fair and right? No, hasn't. All right. But people don't pay for the past. Things don't pass down genetically. When you talk about things passing down genetically, like a white culture or a white national, that is racist. That is anti-Semitism. That is real Nazi stuff. So you leftists, you hypocrites, you liars, my friends. I don't know if you see what's been happening to Cuomo or see the embarrassment that the impeachment managers are making of themselves or anything like that, but things are beginning to unravel. And the house of lies you've built, whether it's today, tomorrow, or in 5 years, will all come tumbling down. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children, because history is edited. Most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first had to make their neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that different from hating someone for the political views? Do you know what the difference is? The difference is she's telling an encompassing story saying there was a time before and a time after. Their argument, the entire argument from the left is since the time after, the extermination of Republicans hasn't happened yet, you can't relate this to us. I'm so glad humans have learned. I'm so glad that we, as hairless apes in this freaking world, have learned so much from our history. Great job, guys. Great job staring at a little phone and melting your stupid brains away. All right. Great freaking job learning from history. Let's just let it happen again, and then we'll fix the books, you lazy pieces of garbage. Makes no sense. All right. We see the writings on the wall. We see what's happening. You don't avoid that. The people that are playing like it isn't happening, they're in denial. And the denial is not just a river in Egypt, ladies and gentlemen. That's my dad joke for the way. By the way, one day when I have a producer and we can put up cool little music and stuff, it'll go ding, 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 ding. Dad joke of the day. But until then, I just have to be like Jack Black and do it with my mouth. Anyway. That was my dad joke of the day. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. And speaking of Egypt, if you go across the Mediterranean and make a slight left, you end up in Italy. And that just so happens to be the heritage of Gina Carano. All right. And she's telling the truth. She's telling nothing but the truth. And still she has lost her career, though she's gained a new one with Ben Shapiro. Let's see. Listen, I got a lot of faith in Benny boy. All right. And he's a good little boy. He's got a pretty little punum there. All right. He's doing very well financially. He's made good choices. All right. He's a lawyer. Listen. I'm sure they'll be fine. All right. She put this post up. All right, see that? That's a baby little child with a billy club chasing a half-naked Jew running because she's being beaten. Do you remember the last video I showed with all the riots? You know, BLM and Antifa going around beating people, burning businesses. Doesn't this sound familiar to you? Or, oh, it's so forbidden. People are so soft now. We're so soft. I'm so soft. You're hurting my ears. You can't make oh my God. The Jews, the Nazis. How dare you? How dare you? Oh, it's like ear porn. Oh, it's so dirty. And you said that, and because it's so horrible, that's all we're going to focus on. We're not going to focus on the truth. And what's the truth? Look at this damn picture. And for those listening, it's black and white. Like I said, children chasing after a bloodied woman running in her pajamas. All right. Old school leggings, understockings, like that I Love Lucy nightwear type stuff. And they are running after her, and she is terrified for her life. How many people driving through crowds of people and protesters banging on their car been terrified for their life? What did those people that lived in Seattle while Chaz was going on think when people were getting murdered and raped and beaten? They were fearing for their life. How many people across this country have feared for their life because of the left, ladies and gentlemen? So what makes that any different than what happened with the Jews? You know what makes it different? What makes it different is that the left are a bunch of cowards, and the truth hurts their sensitive little feelings. No, what's the truth? The truth is that, unfortunately, they're the mindless, ignorant arm of the bigger picture, the picture and plan to destroy this country and turn it into another Nazi Germany run by the leftist lunatics. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm. I'm reading again. There are no plans for her to be in the future, said a Lucasfilm spokesperson in a statement. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. That means that Lucasfilm spokesperson who makes $1 bazillion more than me and you is literally containing of half the brain cells in my and your head put together. Well, that would make an entire brain cell. All right, listen. What I'm getting at is they're idiots, and we're not, okay? They're stupid. That's a stupid thing to say. That means you're an idiot. You didn't read or someone told you to say that. How do you interpret it like that? By your feelings? Do you need a hug? Shut the hell up, Lucasfilm. Go play with your lightsabers in the friggin' corner. Gina Carano, an outspoken conservative, was fired. But you hear that? You hear my voice? My mouth is getting freaking dry because of the anger. The anger that's rising up in me. Hold on. I'm going to take a sip, but I'm going to be polite about it. I'm going to put my hand on the microphone here so you can hear it. All right, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Screw the left. Those hypocritical pieces of garbage, ladies and gentlemen. Garbage. My East Coast is coming out. That's what I was getting at. I get worked up. And then you hear that I'm from South Florida, not in the right South, the South where all the New Yorkers moved to, unfortunately. A few months ago, Mandalorian actor Pedro Pascal, a far-left liberal, posted Nazi analogies now deleted to social media. And hey, to the guy last night that was telling me I'm wrong because Pedro posted stuff a few years ago. He didn't just post stuff a few years ago. He posted stuff a few months ago as well. He just deleted it, and you're too stupid to know that the internet exists and you can screenshot crap and they write articles and stuff. So go to hell, you troll, and eat this. All right? Eat this. Look. Losers in 1865. Yeah, good. Screw the Confederates, all right? I got nothing good to say about them. I don't know what to tell you. Do I believe in erasing history? No. Do I believe these people were misguided? Yes. Sorry, slavery's bad. Cool. Losers in 1945. Great. Fuck the Nazis. Nobody likes Nazis, except the left, who says they're beating up and hurting and doing things to prevent Nazis while acting like Nazis, you dumbasses. They are. The left is. That is not the right. Losers in 2020. Look at this. Look, and then they put a Make America Great hat again. You guys are the stupidest leeches ever. Really. Wastes of human life. Serious. Look, here's another one. Germany, 1944. How dare you, Pedro? He, him. Shut the fuck up. Fuck you. Fuck you, Pedro. Look at that. How dare you put that? And then you put these cages here that Obama built. Well, I'm so sorry that they were brought over by child molesters and traffickers and narcos who probably murdered or stole them or were sold by their parents. And you got to find out who the hell is with them so they don't get raped or sold into slavery, you dumb shit. And the kids that are left over in the facility, when you say, there's all these kids that don't have their parents, it's because the people they were here with were not their parents. They were trying to hurt the kids, or they were smuggling them, and they were drug traffickers, or they were mules, or they were going to rape them. Guys, you stupid lefties, wake the F up. I'm sorry. I'm pissed. Screw you, Pedro, you hypocritical. I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to do whatever Disney. I gotta whatever they tell me to do. I can't. They'll fire me, and then I won't be relevant. And if nobody likes my posts, if nobody clicks, if nobody shares, shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. I'm pissed. If your kids are in the room and you unfollow me, I'm sorry and I understand. But, come on. Come on. Hashtag cancel Disney Plus was trending on Twitter Thursday after a major backlash from fans and hashtag cancel Disney Plus. Screw you, Disney. By the way, I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong, but wasn't Walt Disney the biggest anti-Semite on the planet? Seriously, Disney, shame on you. Shame on all of you. They suck. God, what shitty human beings, what terrible people. Oh, I mean, gosh, look, I don't buy into the conspiracy stuff, but I do buy into the fact that there was fraud, there was irregularities, there were problems. Do I know the extent to which? No. Am I somebody investigating that? No. So I can't give you any positive answers. So I'm not going to present this like some news story. But what I will tell you is the left has a history of lying through their teeth, using horrible things, inciting violence, saying terrible things, destroying people's lives, and then, God forbid, something said about them, they shit their pants and scream and cry and beat their fists on the ground until mommy and daddy do something. And in this case, mommy and daddy had to let Gina go. That's not how it's going to work for much longer, ladies and gentlemen, because the right is building up their own infrastructures and economies. And if you want to get rid of us, then we'll just talk to ourselves. Plain and simple. I hate to say it. That's not good for our country. I'm not promoting it. But what else are we supposed to do? How do you come together from this? I'm going to ask the hard questions, and I'm risking a lot by doing it. But this is the truth that everybody's thinking. How do I meet in the middle with somebody who literally believes in a completely different, it's literally like coming to the middle and saying that I am supposed to find a way to get along with and agree with an extremist Muslim who believes in Sharia law. And I'm not talking about other Muslims. You know, there are peace-loving Muslims out there. Nothing against them. No problems. But there are extremists everywhere from all of the different religions and races. Extremist Muslims, and they believe in Sharia law. How would I go about agreeing with that? How would I go about somebody that believes that maybe beating or raping their wife is an okay type of punishment? How does that work? Sorry, I'm like, what is that? I'm getting so irritated. I'm like pushing against the table. I'm like, I'm grinding the table and it's making a noise. So I'm like, what? Anyway, look. How? All right, let's get off the kick for a second, the analogy kick. Let's just be real. All right. There's an entire group of people in this country, a group that's literally like half of this country. Most of them are low information and brainwashed, so they don't even realize what they're trying to fight for. But the people leading it, right? We have this group of people that believe that we should have open borders, that believe that we should let everybody in, that it's time to get rid of capitalism. It's time for socialism. It's time to move forward into the future with no belongings, in peace, love, and harmony. Give up your guns and let this become a crime state. Let this become a crime country, a leper-infested prison surrounded by seas, ladies and gentlemen. What do they want from us? How do we meet in the middle with that? They think we are racist on the right, whether we're black, white, yellow, purple, whatever we are, whatever we believe in, whatever extent of conservatism we believe in, ladies and gentlemen, we are their enemy. That is what they say about us. And if we say anything back, they burn us down. What's the solution to this? How do we fix this? Right? This isn't something that's going to immediately turn around. All right? This is a count to 3 and slowly back away from each other without firing. It's like that type of analogy, Wild West analogy. I'm not talking about a real firing. I'm not talking about a real duel here. Nobody is promoting violence. All right. Fact check Nazis. Nobody is promoting violence here. I'm making a Wild West analogy. All right. This isn't one of those things where we're all of a sudden going to shake hands. If we were in a duel in the Wild West and it de-escalated, we would be taking 10 paces backwards while lowering our weapons. All right. This is hot. We're in a hot period right now. It's not good. It's really not good. We have to face that reality. So what are you doing? What are you doing to let people know? What are you doing to spread the truth? This episode is going to be full of truth. All right. We've talked for 30 minutes about Gina. I've given you my pissiness and my anger. I'm sure you're going to hear more of it. This is an episode, the likes of which you've never seen from me, but I decided to say screw it and just be totally uncensored and unhinged in myself for you. I believe I owe that to you anyway. Folks, we're going right here to the Holocaust Encyclopedia. All right. The Holocaust Encyclopedia, the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, Jews in pre-war Germany, folks. I'm going to read through this and we're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on going. All right. And we are going to teach you exactly what happened and how some of it relates to what's happening right now. We're going to talk a little shit. All right. We're going to maybe have a few laughs. I'm going to pull this out of my head. We're going to improv this. I took a couple bullet points. I've studied. I've read. All right. Listen, I went to Hebrew school. Little known fact. Folks, if you have a problem with me reading this, go back to kindergarten, stick your thumb in your mouth, and have nappy nap time. If you want the truth, keep watching. So, Jews in pre-war Germany. Jews in pre-war Germany. If you're watching this, you can see the borders here of Germany. All right. You can see that there were Jewish communities in Central Europe, 178,000 in Vienna, Austria, 35,000 in Prague. These were Jewish people. All right. Folks that practiced a certain religion that were being blamed. This article here is going to kind of give you a little overview of important dates, and then it's going to continue on and break down into deeper meanings, and that's going to go through these articles, all right? So let's start reading. According to the census of June 1933, the Jewish population of Germany consisted of about 500,000 people. Jews represented less than 1% of the total German population of about 67 million people. That's why this is a bigger deal here in America, not a smaller deal. It's a bigger deal because we're in a different age, a different time of communicating. Remember back then, they didn't have computers, all right? They didn't have cell phones. Why is it crazy that the left couldn't be doing something like this to 80 million Americans? Why? It isn't crazy, and you know it's not crazy. Jews represented less than 1% of the total German population of about 67 million people. Unlike ordinary census-taking methods, the Nazi racist criteria codified in the Nuremberg laws of 1935 and subsequent ordinances identified Jews according to the religion practiced by an individual's grandparents. You see what they're doing today, right, folks? They're taking your internet history and they're judging you by your past comments. You said something 10 years ago. You have a relative, your grandma said something on Twitter. You're done. Plain and simple. How is that any different? It's not. All right. They're not comparing apples and oranges. It's just different technology. It makes it confusing for simple-minded lefties to wrap their heads around. Plain and simple. Plain and simple, folks. All right. The Nazis classified as Jews, all right? Consequently, the Nazis classified as Jews thousands of people who had converted from Judaism to another religion, among them even Roman Catholic priests and nuns and Protestant ministers whose grandparents were Jewish. What can I compare that to? I can compare that to how the left attacks all types of people, even if they're not on the right, even if they are on the left, based upon different things that have been said and done, not based upon what they believe now, but based upon whenever cancellation nation calls their dirty, dirty name. 80% of the Jews in Germany, about 400,000 people, held German citizenship. The remainder were mostly Jews of Polish citizenship. That's partially my heritage, Polish citizenship. Many of whom were born in Germany and who had permanent resident status in Germany. In all, about 70% of the Jews in Germany lived in urban areas. 50% of all Jews lived in the 10 largest German cities, including Berlin, 160K, Frankfurt, 26K, Breslau, 20,000, Hamburg, 17,000, Cologne, 15,000, Hanover, 13K, and Leipzig, 12,000. Leipzig. It's fun to say that. Key dates. All right. And these dates are going to be discussed further as we go through these articles. So pay attention. And if you have any questions, any comments, leave them below in the comments section or email them to me directly, JAMESLANE at AmericanReveille.com. You can see it at the bottom of my screen here. Key dates, April 1st, 1933. The nationwide boycott of all Jewish-owned businesses. You know, it's kind of interesting when people get canceled. People are kind of like businesses now, right? Gina Carano's a brand. She's her own business, and she's canceled. Interesting. At 10 a.m., members of the Stormtroopers, the SA and the SS, the elite guard of the Nazi state. Sounds kind of like BLM and Antifa to me. That comment right there is going to get me pulled off YouTube in a hurry. The word Jude. Oh, excuse me. They stood in front of the Jewish-owned businesses throughout Germany to inform the public that the proprietors of these establishments were Jewish. The word Jude, German for Jew, is often smeared on store display windows with a Star of David painted in yellow and black cross across the doors. You know, it's kind of funny. I saw a lot of graffiti during the BLM and Antifa riots. A lot of graffiti. You know, I know that was a long pause there, but I meant to put it there. It wasn't me at all forgetting what I was going to say. Maybe it was a little bit. But what I was getting at was how sickening, how disgusting, how nauseating it is to think that there's an entire group of people in this country, half this country, and they're so blind with hatred for Donald Trump that they could care less whether you and me, whether your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your children, your grandchildren, they could care less whether those people lost everything and starved to death in the streets. So tell me again, how do we unite with them? How do I call those people brother and sister? Oh, they don't like that. I forgot. They'd call me racist or transphobic or whatever for saying that. All right. Again, my pronouns, they're go/fuck/yourself. Those are my pronouns. All right. Plain and simple. All right. In some towns, the SA marched through the streets singing anti-Jewish slogans and party songs. I can remember BLM and Antifa protests with them marching and singing songs against the left. Again, how is that any different? How is Gina Carano wrong? How? She's not. That's the real answer. In some towns, the SA marched through the streets singing anti-Jewish slogans and party songs. In other towns, violence accompanies the boycott. In Kiel, a Jewish lawyer is killed. The boycott ends at midnight. Boycotts organized at the local level continue through much of the 1930s. It's kind of funny. I saw lots of videos out of New York with Cuomo rounding up the Jews. Very sad. September 15, 1935. The Nuremberg laws are instituted. At their annual party rally, the Nazis announced new laws that'll make Jewish people, the Jews, they're going to make them second-class citizens, folks. Second-class citizens. They must revoke their political rights. Further, Jews are prohibited from marrying. They're prohibited from having sex with persons of German blood. Racial infamy, as this becomes known, is made a criminal offense. You know, racial infamy and racial justice sound very similar when you break down the use of the word, ladies and gentlemen. Just because you put the word justice in something doesn't mean that justice is real, especially when the people choosing the justice want to burn everything down. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing weird about this, nothing at all. The Nuremberg laws define a Jew as someone with 3 or 4 Jewish grandparents or who is a practicing Jew. Consequently, the Nazis classify as Jews thousands of people who converted from Judaism to another religion, all right? Among them, even Roman Catholic priests and nuns and Protestant ministers whose grandparents are Jewish. I know I'm reading some of these things twice, but I have to. We have to get the point across. It doesn't matter what you believe now. Think back 10 years. You ever say anything the left isn't going to agree with? Then you should be afraid. November 9th, 1938, we talk about Kristallnacht, all right? And fuck you, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I loved you growing up. Go fuck yourself for thinking you know a goddamn thing about this, you dumb ape. Plain and simple. You don't know shit for shit. Like, because you talk like this and you're from there once upon a time. You just spent the last 50 years of your life as a bazillionaire. All right? I don't want to hear it. None of us want to hear it. None of us. You're so out of touch. You're so out of touch. Nobody cares anymore. All right? Go live in your mansion in peace and shut the fuck up. Stay out of the news. All right? Nobody wants to hear it. You don't know a thing. You know what's more like Kristallnacht? All right? And look, I'm going to say it. I'll say it aloud. I condemn everything that happened on the 6th. Everything. I condemn it all. Fuck them all. All right? Not the peaceful people, but the people that stormed the Capitol and the people stupid enough to follow along. I can't help you. You done fucked up. Sorry. But BLM and Antifa burning our cities, marching through our streets, murdering, killing, and raping people is more like Kristallnacht than anything the right has ever done. Kristallnacht. In response to the murder of German diplomat Ernst von Rath, all right, in response to the murder of George Floyd, all right, by a police officer. All right. It's the same story. All right. Remember Mad Libs? Just fill in the frickin' blanks. In response to the murder of German diplomat Ernst von Rath by a young Jew in Paris. All right. In response to the murder of George Floyd by a police officer. All right. By a police officer. Right? By Chauvin, right? Even though overdosing on fentanyl, even though heart attack. Look, the knee to the neck, he's going to get something. He should get 3rd-degree murder or something. Dude was spaced out in La La Land with a knee on the dude's neck, getting harassed by people with phones. He was not there. Can't help him. He should be charged with that. But 1st-degree murder? A grudge? A racist thing? No, not at all. Screw you, George Floyd. Homeboy, you put a freaking gun up to a pregnant woman's belly and beat her? Come on. And I'm going to tell you right now, if a white guy, all right, a white guy, and listen, I was poor as shit, all right, for a very long time. So I'll call whoever I want homeboy, because any freaking poor piece of trash, whether it's white trash, whether it's any trash that hurts people, that hurts women, that hurts pregnant women, you stand up for this person, you're an idiot. All right. In Germany, a Jew killed somebody. All right. Here in this country, a cop may have had something to do with killing somebody. And in response in Germany, Kristallnacht happened. In response here, for 9, 10, 11, whatever it was, people, I'm not saying they, because I don't want you to mistake it. I don't blame this on black people. That's not where we're going with this. So for anyone that's going to try to misconstrue my words and call me a racist, you can kiss my ass. Where I'm going with this is that ignorant people, white, black, Latino, Asian American, whoever, ignorant people, all right, are the ones that burnt our cities. People easily duped by the same people. This is where it gets all screwed up, okay, folks? And I don't mean to go off on a tangent here, but this is where it gets all screwed up. I grew up poor white trash, and there's a lot of black folks that grew up poor as fuck too, all right? And we're all against the same frickin' person. The elites in the left and the elites in the right that break our backs and steal our paychecks and ruin our lives, destroy our families and keep our families poor for generations and keep your families on crack, my families on meth. Those people are the people we should be uniting against. Okay? But instead, those people play their wicked games and pit the poor against each other. They try to make this about race. They try to make it so when I say BLM and Antifa riding in the street, was like Kristallnacht, they try to tell me that that's a racist thing to say. You can kiss my ass. It's not a racist thing to say. All right? There were stupid people. They got caught up in that because they had good intentions and thought they were helping black people, but they're not helping black people. Do we need to have more attention going on in what's happening in the hood and help people out? Sure. We need to help poor people out everywhere, because just like there's an epidemic in the freaking hood, there's an epidemic in the trailer park too. There's an epidemic everywhere. Open your eyes, you dumb shits. I'm sorry, but I'm heated. I'm pissed, all right? This is what Kristallnacht was in response to the murder of that dude in Paris, all right? Just like that dude here, just like that dude George Floyd, German propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels delivers a fiery speech to the Nazi Party faithful in Munich. These party members were gathered to commemorate the anniversary of the abortive 1923 beer hall putsch. I think that's how you say it. Putsch, putz. Puts. I always screw that word up. I say it like 100 times perfectly before I record, and then I record and I forget how to say it. The beer hall putsch. I think it's putsch, something like that. Basically, it was an attempt to overthrow the government. Adolf Hitler's first attempt to seize power. The speech is a signal for an organized assault upon Jewish homes, businesses, and places of worship by members of the SA, SS, and other Nazi party organizations, such as the Hitler Youth. Those are kids. Although Nazi officials later portray the pogrom as a spontaneous act of public outrage, that's the media lying. Something new? No, not at all, because our media is lying out their face as well. What makes you think they wouldn't lie for the left in this country? Because of the media out there, because of the lies, and they tried to twist it and say it was public outrage when in fact the government itself did it. The population's participation in the program is limited. The violence against Jews lasts into the morning of the 10th and becomes known as Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass. At least 91 Jews are killed and up to 30,000 more are arrested and confined in concentration camps. Aryanization, the transfer of Jewish-owned businesses to Aryans, accelerates following the program. Now, we might not be exactly at that part. You can't be exactly at that part. They can't do it the same way. There would be a revolt. So what do? They cancel us. They are canceling our businesses, canceling our lives, physically and digitally. All right? This stuff, folks, this stuff lasted a very long time. This might have been one night. We had a year. And we have more to come because the left isn't done. They're not done. They don't like Biden either. What do you think's going to happen? Plain and simple. This isn't hard to believe. It's not hard to believe at all. All right? Let's move on from this. I told you, we're going to go through all those at the top. Take a look. Take a look. You see there's a bunch of tabs there. Those are the Holocaust Encyclopedia. I'm going to go through this whole thing with you. We're going to bitch and moan about it. I'm going to gripe about it. I'm going to whine about it. I'm going to make you listen to me. I'm going to make you listen to me because I am not full of crap. By the way, if you're for some reason going to try to give me shit saying I don't know what I'm talking about, if you would like, I can hold up my freaking history degree for you. That's right. For those who don't know, don't watch this show, I have a bachelor's of science in world history. I happen to have studied this stuff. All right? All right, we can talk about PhD stuff later, and I don't mean to be a jerk off. I'm not trying to rub paper in anybody's face, all right? I didn't go to school till I was almost 30 years old. I had a real hard knock life before that. Life taught me a lot of lessons, all right? And I thank God that the Navy paid for my education, and I appreciate it. All right. Without the U.S. Navy, I would not have any pieces of paper. So I don't want you to think I'm rubbing that in your face. But there are going to be naysayers that think I don't have credentials because they're stuck on a piece of paper. So for those jerk offs, I have a Bachelor of Science in History. All right. Kiss my ass. I'm telling you the truth here. All right. Plain and simple. It ain't a Bachelor of Arts. where I get to make up crap. It's a bachelor in science. Ugh. I just want to call a bunch of lefties dummies. Just pisses me off. 100%. Jews in pre-war Germany. So now these articles are going to kind of break down some of the smaller things and talk about, right, what is going on. Where is it? Not this one. I already read that one. Not Jewish life in pre-war Germany. Sorry. Jewish life in Europe before the Holocaust. That is the one that I wanted to read. That was a really important one. When the Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933, Jews were living in every country of Europe. A total of roughly 9 million Jews lived in the countries that would be occupied in Germany during World War II. By the end of the war, 2 out of every 3 of these Jews would be dead. And European Jewish life would be changed forever. Can I teach you something? If you don't know this, I want to teach you something. All right. And don't give me shit. I know my arms look weird. I look funky in a tank top. I'm getting back in shape. All right. I look like half the Michelin Man, half in shape. All right. I'll get there. And I know I look like a Wookiee too. I'll get there. Just give me a break. Give me like 2 months. I'll have abs again. Okay. But screw you for judging. Listen. I want to teach you something. If you don't know, I know most of you know. Most of you listening to this are smart, but this is for the not smart people that are on the left out there that are watching me because they're looking for reasons to talk shit. Listen, America, the United States of America is gigantic, and every state is like the size of a country in Europe. And if there wasn't a federal government, we would all be separate countries. Okay? So when they're talking about Jews living all over Europe, think of the entirety of Europe as an ununited United States. Okay, that's the best way I can put it. All right. So Eastern European Jews, they lived a separate life as a minority within the culture of the majority. They spoke their own language, Yiddish. My grandma speaks Yiddish sometimes, which combines elements of German and Hebrew. Do you want a nosh? Are you okay? Let me touch your kepala. That Joe Biden's mashugana. Listen, all right? Trust me, I got credentials. I got the street cred for the Yiddish. They read Yiddish books. They attended Yiddish theater and movies, though many younger Jews in larger towns were beginning to adopt modern ways to dress. Older people often dress traditionally, the men's wearing hats or caps, the women modestly covering their hair or wigs or kerchiefs. In comparison, the Jews in Western Europe, Germany and France, Italy, the Netherlands and Belgium made up much less of the population and tended to adopt the culture of their non-Jewish neighbors. They dressed and talked like their countrymen, and traditional religious practices and Yiddish culture played a less important part in their lives. They tended to have had more formal education than Eastern European Jews, all right? And they lived in the towns and cities, all right? The Eastern European Jews, they tended to have had more formal education than Eastern European Jews and to live in towns. That's a weird way to put that sentence together, all right? What they're saying is that the other Jews, the Eastern European Jews, were kind of like, what they're basically getting at, right, guys? They're getting at the fact that because they've had more education, they're talking about the Western European Jews, not the Eastern European Jews. The Western ones seem to live more in the cities and towns, while the Eastern ones live simpler lives. Jews could be found in all walks of life as farmers, tailors, seamstresses, factory hands, accountants, doctors, teachers, and small business owners. It sounds like people on the right, right? Are you on the right? If you're listening to this, you're probably on the right. There are some lefties, like I said, that like to listen to this to talk crap. But if you're listening to this, you're on the right. There are people on the right all over, right? Doctors, Republican, conservative doctors and lawyers and landscapers, pool guys, pool ladies, bartenders. There are all kinds of people that are on the right. I've met people from all walks of life. Why is that any different? Why can't you make the analogy there? All right. Some families were wealthy. Many were poor. What's different there? Many of us are poor. What's different there? Many children ended their schooling early to work in a craft or trade. Others looked forward to continuing their education at the university. Still, whatever their differences, they were the same in one respect. By the 1930s, with the rise to the Nazis to power in Germany, they all became potential victims, and their lives were forever changed. And people on the right have become potential victims. We're in a limbo period where we're unsure, we're worried, we're nervous. All right. Half the country thinks that we're evil, and they're blindly following directions from a social media infected, highly politicized by a bias and partisan Democrat Party, plain and simple. So why is that any different? The truth is that it's not different. You should be worried. We do have a reason to be nervous because we are potential victims. All right. So look, these are key dates. These are important. We're going to go back a little. We're going to go back to 1791. All right. 1791, Jews were emancipated in France. Oh, yes, my people, ladies and gentlemen, my people have been prejudiced against, persecuted against, and enslaved for thousands and thousands of years. Where are our reparations? Oh, I'm sorry. We don't want any. Listen, and I don't mean that, by the way, to insinuate that black people want anything, because most black people don't want reparations either. All right. There are rich white people. This is the problem. There are rich white people, elitist rich white people, pulling the strings and making people think, making it seem like black people want reparations. But most black people just want a chance to work hard, earn a living, have a family, and succeed in this world without having to hustle or go through too much shit or have unequal rights. They just want to be treated like any normal, Tom, Dick, Harry, Jack, Sally, whoever. Plain and simple. All right. All this other stuff on top of it, that's extra garbage. That's Marxist garbage. Plain and simple. Marxist garbage, and people are falling for groupthink on all sides. All right. The term emancipation of Jews means the removal of all legal discrimination against Jews and the granting of rights equal to those of other citizens in a country. In September 1791, the National Assembly of France granted rights of citizenship to Jews who took a loyalty oath. France was in the vanguard of the emancipation movement. For example, Jews were only later emancipated. All right. They were only later emancipated in Greece in 1830. Great Britain in 1858. Hello. There's other history besides the United States of America, numbnuts. Italy, 1870. Germany, 1871. Norway, peace-loving Norway, 1891. Although civil equality for Jews was thus guaranteed by law, European Jewry remained beset by antisemitism and social discrimination. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. And the left is playing with your head. They're playing with your minds. They are not being honest at all about what is happening. All right. About what antisemitism is, about what social discrimination, about what any of it is. All right. They're changing and bending the truth for their own favor. They've learned what they've needed to learn. They have the data from the social media, from the algorithms, from all of the research for the years and years and years that they've been watching and learning you. And now they know just how to control every bit of your lives. So what's different? Why can't Gina say this? The answer is nothing's different. The answer is that it just made the left look bad and they don't want you to know the truth. June 24th, 1922. I don't know why I said 1924. Jewish politician assassinated in Germany. Walter Rathenau, one of the most prominent Jewish political figures of the Weimar Republic, is assassinated by right-wing radicals. Rathenau, the president of the General Electric Corporation of Germany, AEG, since 1915, became foreign minister of the Weimar Republic in 1922. As a Jew, he was hated by the right-wing groups. And I want you to understand, things change through history. We're different countries. Right-wing in Germany is different than right-wing in the U.S., is different than right-wing in Italy, is different than right-wing in Australia, is different from right-wing in China, is different from... I could keep going. It's obnoxious, isn't it? It's the truth, though. Breathe it in. Smell that? You smell the sweet air of truth? Start using it, lefties. Start using it. Just because this says right wing and Nazi together in a sentence doesn't mean that the right wing are Nazis in other countries. In this country, there is an extremist sect of the left wing that are Nazis. And when Nazis and left wing terrorists get together, all right, they seem to agree with the same things. So I don't know what to tell you. I really don't there. I don't. It's ridiculous, all right? He became the foreign minister, all right? The right-wing groups, he was hated by them, all right? His policy for fulfilling the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, excuse me. Whenever I'm on the spot, right? All right, we know how to say it. Anyway, his normalization of relations with the Soviet Union, he was trying, okay, to do things that would bring peace and stability to the country, instead of allow for profit and warmongering, the thing that the left likes to do. And that's what he was penalized for. That's what he was killed for. All right. As a Jew, he was hated. All right. His murder was indicative of the right-wing anti-Semitic campaign blaming Jews for Germany's defeat in World War I. Replace that with left, because in this country, it's left. Okay. In this country, it's left. Sorry. I had a notification over there. I'm like, what's that? That's real professional, isn't it? Look, we got another date here, another important one. March 9th, 1936. The program in, oh my God, how do I say that one? PrzYtyk. We're going to try this. Pritik. I don't know how to put a Z in a Przytik. All right. It's we're just going to call it Pritik, Poland. Sorry if there's any Polish people out there that hate me now. Violence in Poland erupts. 3 Jews are killed, more than 60 wounded in the town of Poland. In the days following... In the days following the attack, the program... Look, and I understand it purposely is spelled pogrom. Okay, there's a reason why it's spelled pogrom, but I just don't want to keep saying pogrom because I'm going to make myself die laughing. Pogrom, the pogrom spread. See, that's why. So we're just going to call it program. It spreads to neighboring towns. Before the program is ended, almost 80 Jews are killed and 200 wounded. Violence against Jews is widespread throughout central Poland between the 1935 and the 1937. Anti-Jewish programs take place in Częstochowa. What the? Oh my geez. All right. I was not prepared for that one. Częstochowa, Lublin, Białystok, and Grodno. I feel like living in those towns would be depressing as is. Okay. Bad enough. You got the violence that went down just because people were Jewish. And that has been happening. The left has been attacking people on the right. Is it everybody? No. Was it everybody before the Nazis took over? No. All right. I'm not comparing them, saying they are the same thing. But what I am saying is that, man, certain of these early red flags are scary. They raise red flags more than they originally did back in the day. We should be learning from our history, not running from it like thin-skinned, weak people, thin-skinned cowards, thin-skinned wimps, like the left are. Safe spaces and hug time, ladies and gentlemen. Safe spaces and hug time. Folks, you need to face the truth, and that's the truth, all right? There's persecutions, and people were hating the Jews. And people here in this country hate the right. Why do they hate the right? Because they're told to hate the right. Why did they hate the Jews? Because they were told to hate the Jews. How is Gina wrong? I'm going to ask you, how is Gina wrong? All right, folks, plain and simple. All right, look, we're going to break this up. We're already over an hour. All right, folks, the next episode, we're going to start with anti-Semitism, and I'm going to take this all the way through. We're going to do anti-Semitism, the boycott of Jewish businesses, the Nuremberg race laws, the night of broken glass, the Evian Conference, all right, the Voyage of St. Louis, locating the victim. I'm going to give you the whole damn lesson. Why? Because we all need to hear it, all right? We all need to hear it, and the left needs to hear it, and screw them for trying to hijack history and make us look like pieces of crap, make us look like human garbage, set us up so somebody can come snatch us and our children from our homes 10 years from now and make us disappear. Shame on all of them. Shame on all of them. Plain and simple. I'm sorry. I'm going to freaking calm myself down. But listen, do me a favor. Please, 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 wherever you're listening to this, wherever you're watching this, subscribe, share, leave a comment, like, do everything you can to get the word out. We are shadow banned everywhere. I'm getting less than 100 views on most of my stuff that I was getting thousands of views on before. It has nothing to do with content because I'm watching the algorithms. I'm watching the metrics. I know what's happening and I am being silenced. All right. We little guys are the silent victims, the real people that are bearing the hardship. All right. Listen, they could cancel Ben Shapiro. He's got $50 million in the bank. I have mouths to feed. All right. He does too, but he'll be all right. We won't. All right. And there's a lot of people out there like you that won't. You and me, we're in the same boat together, guys. We're doing this together. We're building this show together. So I need your help. Please, please, please do me that favor. If you want to contribute, I appreciate that too. You can always donate on the website. All right. www.americanreveille.com. All right. The artwork, logo work is now done. The new website will be up very, very soon. New stuff coming soon. Street teams deployed soon. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Get ready for part 2 in the next video. Bye. All right. Head to the website, www.americanreveille.com. Do me this favor. All right. Hit it up. Hit it up, hit it up, hit it up. If you loved this podcast, if you like what we're doing and you feel like supporting us, hit the support us tab. We take Bitcoin. You can go on PayPal. We take any amount of donation. We appreciate it greatly. Guys, it really helps. It goes a huge way while we're fighting off this censorship. We have some new articles tracing the real pandemic. It's fantastic. And also Andrew Penn put out Joe Biden's America Last Agenda, a great one as well. I have another article coming out tonight too. Folks, sign up for the mailing list. Please, please, please. You don't want to lose touch with what we are doing across this country. And please contact us. If you have any feedback, if there's anything you'd like to ask me, if there's any way you believe you can contribute with any of your skill sets, or if you'd like to start building up an American Reveille street team in your neighborhood, please let me know. JAMESLANE at AmericanReveille.com, JAMESLANE@AmericanReveille.com, or you can hit the contact button or go to AmericanReveille.com and then hit the contact button. Folks, we're still on YouTube, so if that's where you're watching us, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, share. But they are shadow banning us. That's why you'll notice that we were getting thousands of views, and now all of a sudden we're barely getting any. That's called shadow banned, all right? So we're moving a lot of our stuff to Odyssey. This is a great platform, ODYSEE.com, all right? Most of my videos are up there. Most of them are up there. And I like them. I think they're a great platform. They're easy to use. It feels like YouTube. So it could be our version of YouTube. Try it out. ODYSEE.com. I'm there as American_Reveille. Of course, the links will be in the description below. And of course, I'm on Rumble, guys. I am on Rumble as well. Head over to rumble.com. Find me American_Reveille. I'm in the comment section below, or I'm in the description section. You can find the link there. Head over here, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I need all the support I can get. We are having a very big hit to our distribution. People are not seeing what we're putting out because they killed Parler. And like I told you in the podcast episode, we don't even know if Parler's coming back. So we got to start from scratch. So I need your help, folks. Please help. All right. We can do this together. We really, really can. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, guys, 5-star rating, leave a review, please. Please, please, please. That's a big deal. Subscribe there. Follow me there. Share. If you are an audio listener, I am on most platforms. American Reveille Podcast on most platforms, folks. if you're a listener and you know people who like AM radio and different things like that, tell them about the American Reveille. Please, I need your help, and I'm depending on you to really spread the word. All right, we're doing everything we can. You know that I barely sleep and eat. I'm putting it out. I'm putting the hours in, folks, for you, for me, for everybody, folks. So I appreciate it. I thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and I will see you in the next segment. Bye.